All right. GM. It's Tuesday. We are back. We are so back. I mean, Jesus. That's a statement that you could say like 10 times and say, holy crap, things are really, really moving. Really, really excited to bring on Yaku, which, man, you guys, dude, Eli, how are you? How you feeling? Like, tell me, like, I know you got like so much to unpack, but 30 seconds, like, who are you and what are you building with Yaku?
Yeah, so I'm 773, aka Eli, the Chief Marketing Officer, Head of Business Development over at YAKU. At YAKU, we're really looking to build the future of digital worlds and immersive entertainment, whether that's through our MMO side or our more metaverse experiential side. We're really looking to kind of build the Ready Player One of the future.
Dude, talk about like mic drop. You have that thing down like perfect. Eli, man, markets are high, the vibes are high, things are just right now. The Solana ecosystem is just absolutely thriving. Tell me though, what's happening right now in Yaku that everyone is talking about? I see you guys had like a patch update. Man, like everybody's streaming into the game. You guys are now like live on the Epic, live on some platforms. Give us that 411 real quick.
Yeah, definitely. So with our newest update, we just released our entire character customization system. And I know for some people might be like, what's the big deal about that? Really, for us, it was the feature of adding in like almost all of our NFT traits, besides the top 10 percent of rarity, are all included in the game. So any assets you own from us in terms of like the avatars, you could jump in and pull all the items from your character, so people can actually like have usable assets and not just like nice JPEGs to look at. And outside of that, really, it's the expansion of the wider world. So all of our release has really been geared towards building the foundation for what an MMO is. I mean, it's very easy to actually throw together a world and like a huge environment and make it even look nice. That's not the hard part. The hard part is more building the infrastructure out, whether it's like optimizing the assets or setting up, the proper structures in terms of like the data and pulling, managing the wallet, all of these things, especially in an immersive environment that's like pretty high def. It's actually very difficult to do. So this new patch kind of is the realization of all like the 2 3 years of back end work that we're doing, and now we're actually moving out of our MVP stage into like really fleshing out all the features and getting into like the cool experimental phase and not just the basic system phase. So it's like a huge milestone for us, and I think everyone should jump in and check it out. I love the character customization myself, and we actually have a contest going on. If you jump in the game and customize your character, upload like a video, screenshot, etc., of the coolest guy you can make, you can win yourself a good amount of Yaku and a brand new bike. So it's a bunch of great reasons to jump in.
All right, man. I'm about to jump in right now and cancel this call. But look, man, you're mentioning where you guys are going. You're venturing out of the MVP, now venturing into the next phase of what you're building. What's the message right now from the marketing side that you're really trying to hone in on to players, to gamers? Like, why is it Yaku? Why Yaku over anything else right now? What's that message? What's that experience you really want them to have while getting immersed in Yaku?
Yeah, so I think really our whole kind of one-liner is always been create your reality. So the thing, like the empowering thing about metaverses is exactly that you can do whatever you want. Like that's kind of the whole draw, whether it's go to an entertainment experience or just go and grind mobs and flex all your character customization, or go to all the different number of experiences we'll have with some of our brand partners like Honda or other things like that. I think really Yaku is this Ready Player One, the home and melting pot of all these different, I mean, all these different IPs, all these different game styles, entertainment styles. For example, when we were at the Global Sports Business Forum talking to them about like, hey, it'd be great to have some of these sporting events going on in the Yakuverse simulcasting. We really kind of talked to them and almost like talked ourselves. It was our original kind of vision, but it really much more came to life when we were describing to them what that would look like. Maybe we have an NFL game simulcasted in the Yakuverse where you can go there, watch the whole game represented like seamlessly, and then from there maybe you earn a reward from them that you can equip on your character, or maybe you earn some token. You can go back and purchase some other things that you can monetize on. Like, where else are you going to have the experience of doing so many different things and being able to monetize on it? There's really nowhere else. I mean, of course, people always like to give us the kind of GTA comparison, but in GTA, everything you're doing, um, like Rockstar is really monetizing you, whether it's to purchase like the in-game cash or skins or all these different things. Whereas we're kind of changing the whole narrative, flipping the incentive structure on its head, and it's the players that can really earn, and it's player economy driven. So I think Yaku is like the perfect kind of melting pot of where else can I play as a Bored Ape or another, another NFT collection, or just a standard god that I can deck out completely. Where else can I actually monetize in these experiences? Where else can I seamlessly go from a retail experience like shopping in one of our digital storefronts, where in the future you'll actually be able to get it shipped to your house, go from that to a concert, to grinding a mob, to having some awesome experience with my friends. I think Yaku is really going to be the only place that you can do all of those different things and earn on it.
So you're saying I'm going to be able to do these live streams inside of Yaku?
Yeah, exactly. We're setting up a whole telecoms front where you'll be able to have like a virtual avatar, do the streams in there, have meetings in there. I mean, pretty much the whole 9 yards is what we're really looking to build out.
I'm about to going to start dropping my Calendly and say, well, you have to download Yaku first and find me in
Jump in.
Yaku. Hey, man, look,
Yeah.
I think like you just kind of like hit some comparisons with GTA, but you really talking about the monetization stand of it. When you're looking at the audience right now, when you're looking at like what you guys are building, especially here in the Web3 space, you have like Cyberpunk, you have like this Japanese like mythology kind of going for you, and the MMORPG stuff. How do you kind of like look at all this kind of coming together as well, like when you're looking at the audience of saying, hey, yeah, there's monetizations, but there's also different ways for you to immerse yourself in the lore, the experience, and the type of art that the game offers. Where do you kind of like see that like funnel coming in?
Yeah, so really, we kind of try to have two or three different paths that, to account for the different range of gamers. So I know, for example, a Web2 gamer more than likely isn't going to want to deal with all this seed phrase and, all this importing wallet and all of this. Whereas a Web3 gamer, there's different types. There's gamer focused Web3 players, there's more like investor speculation focused. So what we try to do to kind of funnel them all in is create different lanes where they can all succeed and progress in the game and have a loop that's kind of tailored to them and that they don't kind of intersect. So, for example, a Web2 player, he won't have to like with account abstraction, or in the future we may even do things like toggleable like Web3 aspects. So if someone really just doesn't want to deal with that stuff, they can just toggle it off and have a normal gameplay experience of like any MMORPG. So it's really about trying to create these different lanes that players can thrive, succeed, develop their character, and have that kind of story and gameplay like development and rollout, while not like taking away from the actual type of gamer they are, providing these paths that they are already comfortable with. So like, for example, maybe it's a different monetization thing for the Web2 gamer. Maybe it looks more like a battle pass that they might recognize from like COD or any other game. Whereas to a Web3 gamer, maybe it's an NFT pass that they're, more accustomed to, and they have to stake it in terms to get the benefits. But in the end, all the same, like the same result for all different gamers is you're going to have a fun experience, a way for you to develop without having to kind of go into realms that you're unfamiliar with or uncomfortable with.
I think like you're making me really kind of like zoom out with what you're saying, and almost like look at the word the metaverse, right? And it's like, the metaverse really has been something that, hasn't been attractive to many, but I mean, I think the metaverse has existed for many years. And in the Web2 space, there's plenty of games that are the metaverse. And I think if anything, we probably all live already in the metaverse, right? It's just like, do we really want to say the word? Is it too cringe, right? But I think that like for what you're building, this truly is once again the metaverse, but in other ways, being able to kind of use different words. With that said, though, like are you, what is your take on the metaverse? Is it something that you guys want to like use to fuel what you're about empowering here, or do you think, yeah, man, like there is that stigma? Yeah, I mean, I look at crypto having a stigma. I look at blockchain having a stigma. Anything that we do in Web3 has a stigma. So we're already like on this uphill battle. But the word metaverse is definitely one of those words that might have a stigma, but at the same time, Web2 might actually understand it way better and faster than the word crypto.
Yeah, I definitely 100% agree. I think we saw in the last cycle, we saw so many projects using these buzzword, like kind of buzzword marketing, that it kind of burnt people out from really wanting to hear these things like crypto, NFT, blockchain, metaverse, all these kind of terms were just like superficially slapped on anything back in the early days, and it just left such a sour taste in like the average consumer's mouth. I mean, even within Web3, we all joke about it, right? So I think in some sense, metaverse is definitely a great term that kind of encapsulates everything and really allows players to understand what we're doing. But to be honest, internally, we like to say there's two different terms. I I like to say it's an L2 over the real world. So anything you can do in the real world, it's just a faster, more convenient way to accomplish it. Just like, in an L2 scenario. So whether that's shopping, instead of going on Amazon and you see a static 2D web page and, you have this really static experience, you can go into a storefront where, everything is exactly curated around how the brand wants to tell these stories. You have these potentials that you can't do in real life. Whether it's like no gravity or any absurd thing that we can do digitally that we can't do in real life. So we like to call it an L2 over the real world. And another term we use is a digital world, because I think that is a lot more, it has the same power of explanation. Anything that you can do in the real world, let's go to an opera, go to a movie, go shopping, hang out with your friends, do important meetings. Any of those things should be able to be done within the Yakuverse. So we love the term digital world. We love the term an L2 over the real world. And I think it kind of conveys that same messaging without having that like, cringe factor, that negative, like, oh, here we go again with the buzzwords. The crypto guys are back for more scams. So we really like to keep it in a way that conveys the messaging, also like balances that and doesn't give people the wrong impression or like wrong taste from us.
L2 over the digital world. If somebody doesn't tokenize that, bro, like holy crap, we better go on the Believe after this and
Yeah.
start our own thing here. Look, man, as a marketer, you mentioned a couple things here, and as a marketing guy, like you're constantly social experimenting what you're doing, right? You're constantly finding ways to get traction, to get what's working, what's not. What's been like what from what your experience is that maybe you want to share as a marketer, like what's been like something that you guys have won and like you didn't think you would win, like oh my god, that actually did really well. And I'll tell you this, right, from a marketer, I hate the GM post sometimes, but the GM post does so well that you're just like, hey man, sprinkle that in like once or twice a week, right?
Yeah.
Because like you might give a good educational and informational tweet and it'll get like
Nothing.
100 views. You might do the GM post and guess what, it might go viral for you, right? but
Yeah.
but from a gaming standpoint, building a game, that we need to be able to bring and attract gamers. What's been that one thing that you guys so far that you guys are really excited for that has worked really well on a marketing side?
I really want to say kind of collaborations with content creators, but specifically Web2 content creators, because I think the Web3 content creator, it's not that they're not valuable or they don't create, entertaining content. I think it's just because kind of the culture of crypto, it's a lot more, monetization focused, where, most content creators that people watch it has nothing to do with monetization and everything to do with entertainment value, like Speed or any of these big streamer guys. I mean, it's all just like, funny to watch, entertaining, click, like kind of clip little segments. So it's things that people like, bite-sized bits that people can digest easily, that are just about fun, have nothing to do with any, detail-oriented, high-level thinking. And I think we've done some collaborations specifically with like some Web2 streamers from Brazil, Latam, and other places when we went out there for Gamescom. And I mean, we had great success. Like any of these things with like real content creators and kind of that balances the gameplay with like actual live people. I think in crypto we don't see, live people enough. We're so used to seeing like the PFPs and all that. So I think that type of content like really cuts through the noise. And for us, that's been one of our most successful things. And especially with these new releases that are expanding beyond the MVP, we're just going to lean into that a lot more and get a lot more. I mean, even big streamers we've spoken with into the game and kind of making fun content, right? I think the most viral content that I see from any game isn't like, sometimes it's like these super cool montages, but generally it's just like a little 10-second clip of something funny that happened within the game that like, makes people laugh, brings people together. So that's the type of content I think really been succeeding with gamers and really connects with them. Like it kind of intersects the whole meme, like funny, avenue, also with the gaming avenue. And I think really that's a great content style.
Yeah, man, I think you just hit some really cool, valid points here of like, hey, going out to Brazil, going out to GamesCon, using creators that are very much within that niche, understand their language, understand their audience, and create content for who their audience is.
Right.
And I think you're saying, you know, hey, like, you know, I Show Speed and all these guys, like, again, entertainment. At the end of the day, man, I'm a very big believer. If you are like looking at gaming as just gaming, I think you're going to fail, right? Because I think gaming is an entertainment business. And if you look at gaming as entertainment, then you start understanding the ways and the segments of what those verticals look like
Right.
from a game industry standpoint, right? And so I think like you're hitting some really cool thoughts here of like, hey man, you went from telling me about possibly holding meetings in YAKU to hey, your guys are working with creators to get the game out. You're really kind of like looking at this holistically of like, hey man, like we have to try things, we have to immerse players and gamers into this, but at the same time, having the Web3 side of it, I think we have to also figure out ways to, you know, buy token, when token, all this, buy NFT, when NFT, right? We do have another side of it that does help gaming in our industry to help propel fundraising and financial instruments that could help games be able to tackle the Grand Theft Auto if we want to, right? I
Right.
think that there's like so much that we have, that there's this moving kitchen that we have that we kind of have to figure out. Hey, man, you overcooked the steak over here, but the fish is ready here, and like,
Perfect.
you know,
Right.
yeah. So I think like you're really kind of getting into on the Web3 side of things now. Like you mentioned a lot of the Web2 of it and the immersive, the Web3 side of it. What is propelling YAKU in the game right now? I know that there's like, you know, talk to me a little, maybe into the game itself as well as the gameplay of like the cyborgs and everything like that there is. But what's powering a lot of the Web3 right now in the side inside of the game? And is it very like, are you guys going after the very seamless, you know, on the back end Web3, or is Web3 something that's like in the game, like really like in my face, like you know, I have to sign in wallet wise? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so for us, definitely, we just like you said, we don't want to alienate our Web3 base because, to us, we kind of see marketing go on both sides. So either people hyper focus on the Web3 investors and they never scale outside of that, or people like really overlook and kind of brush past their, original supporters, and so they lose their evangelists, like their core audience that really was the one promoting them. And because, right, these Web3 gamers and investors, etc., are a lot more engaged in terms of like actually engaging with content, retweeting, commenting, all of this stuff. It's so much like the reply guy mentality is so much more ingrained in us, and that's super useful from a marketing standpoint. So we never try to alienate those guys. I think how we bring them along for the ride is we do try to have an approach of like, hey, let's let the tech do its job, like on the back end. You don't have to understand, for example, like how combustion engines work. You just turn on your car and you expect it to work seamlessly. So that's kind of our approach on that side. But how we actually balance those things is we kind of see it as like a cycle. So how we drive value back to the Web3 side is, I mean, it's great that people have these rare skins and everything, but if no one's playing the game, then it doesn't matter if you have the rare skin in the universe. It's one of one. It's just a digital like dust collector, a digital paperweight, like I like to say. So, you know, um, really the best way we drive value back is in funneling the maximum amount of players through the game. And in the future, we'll have things like a rental system. So not gating like the free to play guys, but they can maybe earn in the game the Yaku token, and then they can rent somebody's assets. So somebody is still collecting passively, and we still have those like different tiers of benefits without being pay to win or restricted or anything like that. But definitely on the back end, we let the technology do what it's supposed to. We try to account abstract. So at the moment, there's like a few things you have to do, like some wallet connection type of things, but it's mostly completely abstracted. It's mostly like your Epic game email confirm with the code, like pretty much a standard login flow that any gamer would be accustomed to. And the best way we try to like really empower the Web3 side is by making it invisible and making it feel like, just any other game. Like in WoW, I beat the boss, I loot, the boss, and now I can trade it freely or whatever. That's the same kind of seamlessness and frictionless experience we want people to have when they come in. And we are rooted in Solana. We're born in Solana, when we were originally minted. We love the low transaction fees and all the rest. So it's definitely Solana is a big part of powering our backend system in terms of the Web3 aspect.
internet capital markets only on Solana. And guess what? Yaku's maybe we're gonna run the capital markets in Yaku on Solana as well. So
Yeah.
no, man, I think you hit some things that started making my brain churn here, and it's like a lot of the Web3 is definitely getting now integrated, and you guys are mentioning where it's being routed to. So talk to me within the game of itself, though. Like, I mentioned a little bit about the cyborgs and everything. Like the assets within the games, like real estate within the games, like vehicles within the games. Like, what's that like storyline right now? Like, what are you able to buy right now? What are you able to use right now? And like, if you want to share the alpha of like why you want to buy now versus buy later, right? In the sense of not financial advice, but just more of to understand exactly where the game will be in the coming months, as you mentioned, being live, but what's live from out of the MVP stage to the next stage of the progression of the game.
Yeah, definitely. So we have three primary different collections. That's our Yaku Avatar X. So that's your playable character. Those guys, a lot of them have like rare traits and a bunch of things that you won't actually be able to purchase in game or craft. So if you're really into like, flex to win and trying to, differentiate yourself, probably the Avatar. There's a number of other benefits. They help in certain recipes for crafting, and obviously you can stake them outside of the game to get token. Then we have our Capsule X collection, which this one to me, NFA, but the capsules seem like some of the probably things that I would pick up, things that I'm shopping for at the moment myself. The capsule are the player-owned houses, and in those you'll be able to have events. Depending on the tier of capsule that you have, you'll be able to invite a different number of people. So like our mansion caps out at about 20 players that you could invite to your house, and they'll have all the same experience as you, have parties or private events, founder talks, whatever you want to do in there. And then our last asset is our Oni SO1 motorbike. And so those, if you're interested the most in kind of the gameplay side and convenience side, I would say that's something you want to pick up because our world is, I want to say, about 4,000 square kilometers. So quite a way to traverse. You're definitely going to want some transportation while you're in there. And then our race mode and all of that, it will be open to free to play players, but if you have a bike in the future, there's things we're looking at like wagering systems and things like that that may be gated only to token holders. So those are things you're gonna want to keep in mind for sure. And I mean, how the system expands outside of that, we have like two more that we're really looking to add. One would be our Lands Beyond. So that's our world is 4,000 square kilometers, but it's divided into, I want to say, 10K different plots. Those plots will be on chain. You can purchase one of those and create your entire own experience. We'll provide all the tooling so you can literally just drag and drop and build out a whole experience. You can gate it. You can charge players for coming in there, create like custom maps, custom racetracks, put up your own storefronts. And then that's our next one is the storefront system where players will be able to mint a title for the store and then populate the vendor with any number of like items that they have, whether through our creator hub in the future, they build and upload their own digital assets and monetize those in game, whether it's through the things that they earn just by battling, looting, collecting, or whether it's through crafting. And so all of the whole point of all of the Web3 aspects isn't just Web3 for the sake of Web3. It's these are actual like parts of ownership and contribution into the game. And they kind of like access passes that give you the ability to, form your land and create all these things or form your storefront and populate it and monetize on it. It's really the assets are really about empowering the player more so than like there's some aspects to it that are like, flex and just kind of standing out, being unique from other players. But really we want to make sure there is like a core value prop at the heart of all of them.
Yeah, man, I think like you started making me think like that audience question that I asked even before, and like now it's like even more now, like, there's gamers, there's meta gamers, there's guilds, esports teams and everything like that. And you guys have really been able, like, seems to encompass all of them, right? In ways that makes sure that it fits best for who that is, right? And I think it's for guilds, like, yeah, there's ways to say, hey, y'all better partner together, or y'all better go in there and pick up the ones that allow you to have the most amount of players. But yet at the same time, for those more competitive gamers, the racing and the racing side of it, you want to make sure you actually hold these assets to be able to compete and be able to, again, reward their own community members. I think, man, like as I put Yaku in my head, I start looking at this map with ways of directions of the way you guys are going. with that said, though, the balance that you mentioned even before, and making sure that this is accessible. You mentioned again a lot of like, what, hey, look at what's done with traditional gamers, and then again now you're mentioning the Web3 gamer side of it. What stages, how much more in development are we with Yaku? Like, when will we see it being able to now really talk about all of this and start creating this, so that like so that those that are watching this are being able to say, okay, I got to turn my notifications on now, but I also got to start loading up the wallet now because they might have something coming up soon. What's that roadmap look like right now for y'all?
Yeah, so I think right now this was like a milestone release for us in terms of not only the things that we release, like that are visible, the character customization, all of that. It's really kind of a key mark, a landmark of the completion of all of our backend systems. And so in like the next couple of months are filled with all the fun parts, like all the parts that people actually care about. Because I mean, for us, for the development team, it's a huge milestone, all these stuff. For the average gamer, like, yeah, that's great, but like when, win bosses, win raids, win all these things. So our next couple of months, specifically, I'll give like a pretty direct roadmap. I like to give the alpha as much as possible, as much as I can. So
It's not
the next
recorded,
couple of
it's
weeks,
just live.
yeah, yeah, exactly. No pressure. But in the next couple of weeks, we'll really be honing in. The first one job was making the NFT avatars usable in game. The next 2 to 3 weeks are really focused on making the capsules accessible from the open world to like really kind of complete that open world feel. Right now, you can load into them, but it's like a completely separate level and experience. So we want to have it where you're seamlessly exploring the world. Maybe you're walking around, you do a boss fight, then you run back to your house and actually store your items, or really that GTA like seamless experience of being able to run around the map and then go in buildings, come right out. And that's kind of our next immediate focus because we really want to make sure, like I mentioned, not alienating these Web3 guys have been waiting 2 to 3 years to use their NFTs. So now, if you're interested, you can pretty much use everything. It's a great time to jump in. But outside of that, that's kind of like the last, I want to say, like chore you could call it, that we have to do, cleaning up. But beyond that, our whole combat system that we've completely reworked with like modifiable combos, so you can actually build your skill tree out, and based on that, you create your combos, and like just super unique. We really haven't seen before, especially like on the Web3 side. We're all gamers at heart, so like it's great to build all these systems and everything, but at the end of the day, like I want a fun game that I can jump in and like play for 8 hours and completely forget all my responsibilities. So that's really like the core focus of the next couple of months. It'll be the Lands Beyond expansion with the whole plot system. It'll be the race mode with full multiplayer, and this is a secret alpha for anyone who's on here. We're helping the other side and Yuga Labs build out their race mode. So our race mode is very polished up, and I've already got to test it out and play it, and it's pretty fun. So I think people are going to be very surprised on how quickly we're able to release it because we built a lot of the system already for those guys. So really,
Dude, that's like like more than secret alpha. That's freaking wild, right?
yeah,
I think, like, it's funny because my next question to you was going to be like, where do you see Web3 gaming in general and its direction? And I think with what you're saying right now, it's like, one of the beauties of Web3 gaming has been that like the early builders have helped with tooling needed for those that are now building now, right? For those Web3 games that are building now. And I think you're going even farther of saying, hey, like, we're a Web3 game as well, but also now working with other studios to help them polish up whatever they're building because, hey, maybe a lack of experience, money, whatever it is, like, you guys have that ability to say, hey, yeah, just use these, here's an off the shelf type of idea product that could help you build. With that said, though, I mean, like, where do you see Web3 gaming right now? Like, what do you see like the massive hurdle that we're experiencing? Is it that just games are just not live yet, and that's going to be the game changer? Is it, language being still an issue, education being still an issue? Fun games, right? Like, our
yeah.
games need to be fun at the end of the day. But what's your take currently on the market of Web3 gaming?
I would say sometimes I run the risk of sounding a little bit negative, but it's always, I mean, it's like when you correct someone you love, you don't do it because you despise them or you don't think highly of them. You do it because you do think highly of them and you see the potential. So that's always where I approach it from. I think it's really three things that are in the way of kind of Web3 gaming succeeding. First is definitely the language slash messaging. It's the crypto culture does not scale. It's one thing that I've really experienced in my time as a marketer. I come from a Web2 background. So when I jumped in Web3 and YAKU and all of this stuff, like really marketing, I saw like, wow, it's a completely different messaging and like this just does not work with like a Web2 person. So I think it's the messaging and language. Number two, I think it is the fact that a lot of the games aren't currently live yet. So like it takes quite a while. I mean, I always give people the example, Cyberpunk took something like 7 to 10 years with the studio of 400 developers and $1 billion. So like that should give people a kind of sense of, high quality products. They do take a certain amount of time to build, and there's just no way around that. And the third thing I would say is, it's easy to have a great dev or great artist team that creates a beautiful environment, or like that's really the easy part of building these games. I think a lot of times, a lot of these studios, they maybe have great ideas, but they fail to realize like there's a number of different things that go into developing a game other than just like having good hype videos or having a beautiful world. I think they kind of forget the actual conceptual side of like, really thinking about the feedback loops, really thinking about user experience, really approaching it from like a game design philosophy standpoint of like, is this actually a fun, rewarding game loop? Does this actually like tap into the dopamine, like, reward pathways of people? Does this do it in a way where it's like not unaccessible, but it's still a little bit challenging? So that way it balances and doesn't burn out like all this dopamine receptor just giving everything away for free. I think we kind of forget these foundational questions of like psychological questions of like what actually appeals to people, how are people entertained, what's the attention span of people, like what are different, like, what's the way to reward people. I mean, I think like there's so many verticals that people forget to tap, whether it's like really looking at economics to build out a good tokenomics, or I think it's the conceptual aspect of it is holds back a lot of Web3 studios because they just think like build nice game look good, token go up, like a really primitive marketing strategy. Because I think that worked with the PFPs and but it's not the same thing marketing like a NFT hype project or PFP project as it is building out a game and building out a sustainable ecosystem and building out these feedback loops that like each vertical has its own feedback loop and all funnels back to the main thing. I think a lot of it is on the conceptual side and just maybe to this point we haven't had so many like industry vets or people with the experience. We're kind of building in the Wild West and we're all new to it. So I think that is a big part of like the friction and kind of reason why Web3 gaming isn't to the potential that we know it can be.
I'm about to just end the stream now, man. That was the hot take and the mic drop there all at once. Man, I think you mentioned so many things there that I'd like to pick apart, but it really kind of makes me be able to ask the next question of how do you partner with Web2 projects? How do you bring in big Web2 brands into something like what you guys are bringing? And I think you guys have already brought on Web2 partners already. So you guys already have that foundation. You already have that bridge set up like that other games haven't been able to do. So tell me a little quickly, if you don't mind, like where do you think, like, again, how the partnership, the real world collaborations, the influence that helps these games really market, right?
I think really a huge part of that is I know I sound like a broken record, but I will go back to the messaging standpoint. Sometimes on the messaging, it's too investor focused, or sometimes these games like don't really care about like SEC regulation and having some of these more like monetization driven statements, and that really makes these large brands like very hesitant to partner because maybe we don't care about the SEC regulations, but I promise you they do. So it's definitely trying to be as like professional and neutral as possible in terms of messaging, but it's also like having clear value props. Like I think, for example, with Honda, we had a clear value prop for them. Hey, you guys don't have to do anything, really, just kind of partner with us. Let us know like what you're open to in the future, and allow us the opportunity to build you a digital world and experience. You can funnel your player base over here. You know, a large aspect of it will have to do with motorcycle racing, and you guys are the largest motorbike distributor in the world. You have a race team. Like, there was clear value props. It wasn't just like a marketing partnership. There was clear value props on their end, and we made it as seamless as possible, as frictionless as possible. And I mean, we've been able to get a number of large brands. There's some I can't mention, but like really huge brands that I would have never thought like would be open to it. But as long as, you know, the product is high quality, they can see that the messaging is clear and concise, and really, I want to say on level terms, or like, it's something they're familiar with. It's not like over Web3 focus and over monetized, or like any legal, like, you know, sketchiness there. And then, making sure they see the clear value proposition and making it easy for them. So for us, all they really had to do was give us some assets in terms of branding, give us the permission, and let us know like in the future what they're open to, and we took care of all of the rest. So the more you can present these value props, you're like, hey, there's really nothing to lose from it, and we gain a good amount. I think that's really the way to kind of incentivize these large brands to jump in. And of course, like I said, they're very focused on like legal ramifications. Any of these companies, like some of their largest departments is the legal team. So you have to make sure that you're not alienating yourself in your messaging, and like making yourself like, you know, toxic, radiate, you know, radiation basically to any of these large brands. We have to make sure that, you know, they feel comfortable maintaining their brand standard, and all of these things that us marketing guys think about. Like, we have to make sure that we're doing that, and kind of easily accessible in that way in terms of like these large brands and bringing them in.
So Eli, basically what you're saying, man, is I could keep my shirt and tie PFP that I have on Twitter,
Yeah,
because if we're going to talk to the bigger Web2 projects, they want to make sure I'm a professional and the real
right.
person. So that's good to hear, because I get a lot of crap over my shirt and tie PFP and it not having a, you know, avatar, or, you know, some sort of
JPEG.
JPEG of like, hey, you know what it is. But look, man, I think like, yeah, look, I just spent the week at Accelerate in New York City, and I want to like tell you this. It's like, you know, what you just said is so true. I spent the week in Accelerate and got to have some really great conversations with people there. But I've also noticed that there's a progression of the type of people that are there. I would say more professionals are now coming into the
Right.
space. And so, like, you know, they are wearing kind of like slacks and a button down, whereas I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, you're starting to see like, hey, there's a different demographics coming in. There's a different industry. There's people watching what we're doing. They're very much trying to figure out how to get involved. And I think that you're just mentioning again, like, the reason why you need to have validation, the reason you need to have this thought process behind how to market, how to talk, you know, how to work with Web2, is because we are starting to see the inflow. I mean, we've seen it with Solana right now, between institutions, between everything that's happening on Solana itself, that, hey, like, there are some serious players now coming into the ecosystem. And with that said, you know, we've seen like the PayPal, we've seen all these things. That's going to bring more eyes to what we're building. And if we want more eyes, we also have to make sure that what we speak and the way that we portray ourselves are not in a very ruggy vibe, you know,
Yeah.
very like, hey, you don't know what you're going to put yourself into. And I
Yeah.
think, man, you hit it on the money, especially just now, of like, hey, you need to do your research on what Web 2 wants and what you want to give to Web 2, because the return for you could be very massive. And I think you just mentioned it with Honda, which, by the way, Honda's like a massive name, and it's like something that you kind of like very nonchalantly said it, like, oh yeah, we partner with Honda. I'm like, holy shit, like, that's like one of the largest car manufacturers in the world.
Yeah.
And it's not just a car manufacturer, right? Like you just mentioned it, motorcycles as well. They're one of the largest there. Yaku has that ability to partner with really almost anybody in the world because of what you guys are building. You guys aren't specific to one thing. Is there like a dream partnership you got in mind that, like, you as a marketer, like, man, like, you know, we've seen GTA partner with a lot of big names, but one that maybe you say, if they partnered with a Web3 game, or with Yaku, that's where Web3 would be able to really shine, what the ability that Web3 has within gaming.
I think for us, kind of this whole dream scenario really kind of culminated when we were at the Global Sports Business Forum. I mean, I would say my top five options were all there, and it was like it was incredible. I mean, I'll name them, I guess. The Olympics, FIFA, NFL, NBA, and I believe that the final organization was that we were really interested in was like a telecoms one, like Verizon. I think those would be huge for us, just because like when we were kind of speaking with them, for example, the Lakers, they were kind of informing us how the marketing strategy back in their day was really focused on a 30-mile radius around the stadium. So all you did was run ads, maybe send some like mail direct marketing stuff to people's houses, and then within a 30-mile radius, and then you call it a day. Very simple. But now as things are becoming globalized and the internet and everything, like it's much more global. So the Lakers have fans in the Philippines, in Indonesia, in Africa, and all over the world. And it's very difficult to build these community building events and have all these cool events where you can include all these different community members. So we really saw like, whoa, the problem they have is being able to unite their community across all over the world. And the main thing we solve as a metaverse is uniting people all, all across the world. So I think it slots right in. But I think those type of partnerships, like they already kind of started forays into them. I'm not sure if you're from the States, so I'm not sure if you've seen the NFL simulcast they did with like Toy Story, and they did another one with The Simpsons. But those were all concepts that we were talking to them about before. Like this was in 2023 when we went to the Global Sports Fits Forum, and then to see them actually like shortly after that actually put those into practice, like really like wow. Imagine if you had the Olympic Games in the Yakuverse simulcasted, and people from all over the world, or the NBA Finals or the Super Bowl. Like just imagine the level of Super Bowl ads and entertainment and the whole show that can be put on it. I think really those type of brands that are entertainment but crossover, like have a huge crossover appeal, are really some of our dream brands, because their biggest issue they have is, let's say the NFL, their viewership declines in this younger demographic because it's the TikTok generation. They don't want to sit for a 3-hour game. They just want to see the 3-minute highlight reel at the end. But so they have a really hard time connecting with these younger demographics that are much faster, like attention span, that don't really want to sit at the TV anymore and just sit there and watch shows. And so giving them the ability to slot in with gamers and do it in an immersive way, you can have all number of things like halftime entertainment, like interactive things, and just so much more potential there, that I think those are like kind of our dream scenarios, because always my favorite partnerships are when there's clear value on both sides, because then we're both incentivized, to like game theory, we're both incentivized to really do right by each other. And so those partnerships are like my dream scenario, because they have huge audiences that would mobilize wherever they go, and they are looking for the exact demographic that we can target. So it's like we get the guys that we normally don't target, and they get the guys they normally don't target, and everyone wins. It creates a better, more dynamic experience for everyone. So those are really top of my hit list if I can get them. Luckily, this is the last alpha I'll probably be able to say, but luckily, we're able to find some people related to FIFA and some football clubs over there in EU side, since most of our team is over there. So there's a good potential that maybe some of these will materialize in the future. And we've already designed some YAKU stadiums and a number of concepts like that we took to the Global Sports Business Forum. So all the infrastructure is really there.
Bullish.
Yeah.
Bro, oh my God. Okay, first of all, let me ask you this. You mentioned the Lakers. Did you talk to anybody at the Knicks though?
Unfortunately, no. It was at UCLA, the conference, so it was all West Coast guys. Didn't really get to talk to any East Coast guys. The only one, a few Baltimore Ravens players and some players like
Bro,
that.
come on. No one else matters except the Knicks, man. Come on, you should know this.
Yeah,
New
yeah.
York, New York Knicks. That just tells you how much of a diehard fan I am. If you could tell by my background, look, that's really cool. And look, football clubs. I think it's funny you mentioned football clubs, right? Because I think like football clubs have been the most accepting to crypto, right? F1, Formula One, and I think like football clubs have been the ones that have embraced crypto the most. And if you look at like smart money as well, and like you look at the connections and all that stuff, it's like pretty cool map that exists out there to show you like why that it's being attracted, why it's being pushed to that. Especially Monaco this past week with the F1, and you see like these mega yachts and Coinbase and all these other things, Bybit. You mentioned it, like they were all over it, and I think we're starting to see even more crypto be involved into it. I think that is the markets that you have to target are the ones that are already embracing it, because they will be able to help keep building that bridge while building it, while you're trying to cross it. Look, man, I know we're coming around the hour marker here, and I want to give back to you. Give us the plug. How do we find YAKU? What should we do today to make sure we got everything loaded? The community, the website. What am I going on the website? What am I downloading? Bro, give us the now alpha drop as much as you want now.
So first, for the long form information, you guys definitely going to want to follow us on Twitter. That's where we release like I guess actually other way around, complete tongue twist. The short form information, you're going to want to follow us on Twitter. That's where we put the bite size, like digestible stuff. If you really want to get into the weeds, feel free to jump in our Discord. We have an official link section where it's our wiki, our tokenomics, pretty much A to Z, everything you're going to want to know about the project. As far as what you want to pick up, I usually generally recommend, obviously NFA, but I generally recommend people to at least pick up a set of one of each of their 3 legacy collections. So one avatar, one hold on, baby, one avatar, one capsule, and one motorbike at the minimum. And then as far as like really the alpha and the things to pick up, I mean, I'll say this: our capsule collection is our next focus in terms of accessibility, and a lot of our crafting is going to be gated to like actually owning a capsule, so you can put a workbench in there. So if you're interested in crafting, which is going to be one of our biggest monetization kind of inflows, being able to craft legendary items, weapons, armor, all these things, you're going to definitely need a capsule for that. And the better capsules will have more access to crafting and higher tiers, higher rarities. So, basically gamers, take that how you may, take that how you may, but I'm personally looking at picking up avatars with rare traits and picking up some more capsules to my collection. So, do what you will with that, guys. But as far as the rest of the stuff, look, guys, we're free on the Epic Game Store. Nothing needed at all to jump in and play. You just download, and completely safe. It's through a launcher, so you don't have to worry about like any fishy downloads getting drained, anything like that. You don't need to connect your wallet, but you will have a much enriched experience as far as like saving your player profile, saving your customizations. A lot of those things are already on chain, so you'll be able to earn token already, jumping in game and killing monsters and selling items and all the rest. So if you want to position yourself and get ready for like our really, our development past this MVP phase, I would say pick up a set. I would say jump in the game and get your character set up and start earning some token, so that when the crafting and all the real token sinks, besides just like character itemization, when they're really launched, which is in the next couple of weeks, to wouldn't be more than a few months. By the end of the summer, everything that I've mentioned here, from the racing to the combat to the plot system, should be released before the end of the summer. So it's going to be a hot Solana summer, guys. You're definitely going to want to jump in, and we're going to continue trying to collaborate with Solana Gaming, more giveaways, more fun, cool stuff like this. And trust me, guys, if there was ever a time to jump in YAKU, now is the time. It's really like our inflection point where we got all the back end kind of boring stuff done, and now it's more about like, here's all the fun stuff, here's all the bosses and combat mechanics, and of course our early adopters, may or may not be airdropped, legacy collectible items that will never be released again, and those type of benefits. So, I think I gave enough alpha there. You guys will have to jump in the game and see the rest.
The Twitter handle is YAKU Corp. Y'all better make sure you stop what you're doing. You go hit the notification button, you hit the little bell, you hit the yes bell, and anytime YAKU tweets, you drop what you're doing. I don't care what the hell you're doing. You could be in the shower, you could be at a dinner, you could be, whatever. You drop what you're doing just to read the tweet, to make sure you are not missing out, because it pays to be early. Has always been something, but this time, guys, the alpha is here. There's a reason to be early in YAKU Corp. Eli, appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on. This has been awesome. Appreciate the alpha. I swear I won't tell anybody at your team that you shared any alpha. I'll just tell them it was just another stream. But hey, man, have a good day. Go enjoy your day. And I will make sure that I tell the world why Yaku Corp needs to be followed. So once again, another show. Thank you for tuning in, and peace out to everybody.
Peace out, guys. Last thing I'll say, any engagements on our tweets and anything like that, there's another project from our studio, Rygen Labs. I think it's going to really shake up the entire gaming space, and it may or may not be connected with, any engagement, may be monitored and tracked and may help you. So that I won't say anything else. That's the last thing I could say. But definitely, this is a great show, man. You guys follow Solana Gaming, follow Jorge. He's always in the trenches trying to build up the Web3 gaming scene that, we all, he's one of the pioneers in trying to building it up. Whenever I see spaces and Web3 gaming, Jorge is always in there. So you guys are going to want to follow this guy. He's tapped in with all the good games, and Solana Gaming is going to be putting out some heat, and especially, on our side as well. So follow their channel, follow Jorge specifically, and pay attention, guys.
Hey, I'm gonna have to get your Solana wallet so I can send you the $10 for that shout out. Appreciate you, brother, man. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Until the
Take
next
it easy,
show.
guys.
All right, Eli, go enjoy your day.